That is Arnold Maliba, Head of Policy and Public Affairs at the ruling party UDA. Sheila Olang, economist and political analyst, as well as Zach Kinuthia, who is a former Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Education, that is a CAS, served under President Uhuru's tenure. That is, of course, the former head of state. We'll be focusing on very key issues that, of course, have been dominating the political space, especially. That is, of course, on the impeachment of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who now is keen in seeking refuge at the judiciary. That is where over 22 cases have so far been lodged. This is an effort to block his ouster. Even the Senate is said to consider this particular matter come Wednesday and Thursday this week. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has expressed hope in God and as well the courts to save him. This appearing to become apparent that all signs indicate he could lose it at the Senate. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's some of the petitions will be heard by a 3-judge bench. That's according to High Court ruling, or actually directions that were given as of Friday by Justice Lawrence Mugambi, and Chief Justice Martha Koome is expected to empanel a bench to investigate or to hear the petitions. Remember, there is a whole discussion and debate of whether the second in command should remain in office if ousted until his case is heard and determined, at the same time blocking the swearing in of any nominee for the same position. That will form a better part of a conversation this morning. Also today, there is another impeachment before the Senate. That is the Kericho Governor Eric Mutai, who will be facing the Senate. And so far, he has protested that, first of all, the Senate should not hear the matter, considering there is a court order blocking the House from processing the motion. Also, there is a question of the 2/3 majority that was not met during the ouster, while it's only 31 MCAs who voted in support of the motion to oust Eric Mutai as the governor, whereas it's supposed to be 32. Also, the matter of public participation is emerging in that particular case. Kato Kigen is the lead counsel, and today we will be bringing you the live coverage of the Eric Mutai Kericho governor impeachment before the Senate. We'll also be focusing on the Adani, which signed a $96 billion deal with Ketraco. That is, they will be managing for 30 years our transmission lines. Raila Odinga, who is the former ODM party leader, has actually considered or has cited that Adani is credible and reputable, even as Kalonzo Musyoka, who is the Wiper party leader, says he will move to court to challenge these particular Adani deals, especially that of the energy sector. That is one, of course, matter that we'll also be touching on the State of the Nation this morning. Even as on Friday, the Sirisia Member of Parliament, John Waluke, has now escaped the 67-year jail term in the 313 million case. Also, there was an alternative of paying up to 1 billion Kenya shillings in fine. I invite you in this conversation via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha Zolona, SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. Of course, I'll be sampling some of them before wrapping up New Dawn this morning. Once again, in studio, I'll be joined by very key guests. That is Arnold Maliba, Head of Policy and Public Affairs at the ruling party UDA. Sheila Olang, economist and political analyst. Also, Zach Kinuthia, former Chief Administrative Secretary, that is a CAS, will be right here in studio. But first of all, before even getting to our newspaper review this morning, we begin with these stories where striking medics across the country have firmly maintained that the strike, which now enters its 6th day, is still on. It is a move that has crippled services in health services, leaving patients vulnerable and unsure, many at risk of long-term effects of lack of health, especially those who cannot afford services in private facilities. And as Rob Mondi reports, Machako's Governor Vinya Ndeti has threatened to sack striking medical workers if they continue disregarding the return to work court order. Listen in.
Have vowed not to relent until county governments meet their demands, and that no mere notice or threats will make doctors retract their decision to strike.
Let them not think that the doctors are bluffing or that the doctors want the patients to suffer. No. We feel that it is the county government who has been on strike for those many years. For 2 years, 3 years, they have been on strike by not promoting the doctor.
In Machakos County, for instance, KMPDU Lower Eastern Chair Charles Okumu said the devolution of healthcare should make services available for all Kenyans and ensure medics are motivated, terming what is happening at the county as ironical.
Healthcare is not just about buildings. Healthcare is not about opening or launching dispensaries. Healthcare is about the healthcare worker, the right of that healthcare worker, because that is the very serious engine that you need even for those buildings to make sense.
A spot check at Machakos Level 5 Hospital shows a deserted hospital with no doctors at work, with patients who had come for healthcare services returning home desperately. According to Okumu, a number of doctors have served for more than 8 years without any promotion, and they have been signing many return-to-work formula, which has never been implemented.
The issues of no insurance cover. So as a doctor, as a healthcare worker, how do you work when there's no insurance cover? When you're coming to treat a patient, yes, like we've said, it's a community. But as you serve that community, you need to be safe.
And now Governor Wavinya Ndeti is breathing fire against the medics on strike. The governor says they risk being sacked if they do not heed to the court order to resume work immediately.
Kama ni insurance, mimi nilikuwa nimewekea insurance kama governor. Kama ni promotion, mimi nilikuwa nimepromote 422 doctors. Nikawa promote, wakaenda strike. Mtu kama akuji kazini, kuna consequences za kukataa kuja kazini. Hizi barua waliandikiwa zingine last month. Wale wakujagi kwa hospitali. Let us work according to the law. I respect you, I have respected you, but now mumenionyesha hata nyinyi heshima yangu mumeweka chini.
The situation is not different in Isiolo County, where a family is grappling over the safety and health of the 18-year-old girl who is suffering from pulmonary embolism, which causes blood to clot in the blood vessels, and was also recently diagnosed with tuberculosis and needs to be under oxygen support. However, they were forced to transfer their daughter from Isiolo Referral Hospital to their home following the medics' strike.
Madaktari walikuwa wamegoma, nilikuwa nalala hapo hivyo. Pia madaktari saidi yao pia naweza sema ni haki yao kugoma sababu hawalipwi. Obviously huwezi fanya kazi kama ulipwi. Utamu ya kazi ni pesa.
Sarafina Asili, who has hosted the patient at her home, says that frequent power outages in the area is a worry, since it is a health risk for the patient who needs oxygen support from the oxygen generator that uses electricity.
Msichana kuna hatari akiwa anakaa hapa kwa sababu ana risk maisha. Juu saa hii stima ikipotea na hiyo tanks ya hakuna nini oxygen, hii msichana anahadharisha maisha yake. Na ikipotea tu hivi anaanza kulia. Mimi roho yangu inatoka. Tunajaribu tu. Saa nyingine inakataa kufanya, saa nyingine inakubali, inazima na kaa hivyo, nafungana. Hii mashine ya oxygen inakunywa stima mingi sana. Na unakuta pia msamara mema mwenye amemaccommodate pia si eti yako na nguvu sana, ile anangangana tu hata hivi atafanya. Kama jana token ilikatika usiku, ikabidi akatoka kuenda kwa jirani kumuomba 100 aweke token ndio save maisha ya msichana.
Isiolo County Secretary and Head of Public Service Dathe Boru has appealed to the medics on strike to soften their stand and negotiate a return to work formula with the county government in order to ease the suffering of patients.
When we lost a patient, the life of this patient, you cannot compare it with money. This issue of monetary term is something very small, but life of somebody is very important. So mine is just to say, and I'm appealing to them humbly as they're in charge, as head of public service, let us have that roundtable discussion to see to it that we are going to sort out this issue.
Robbie Omondi, K24.
Now, as the days of reckoning beckons for Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, he now says he respects and believes the judiciary will uphold the rule of law ahead of his hearing slated for 16th and 17th at the Senate. As Ian Kitani now reports, Gachagua insists that the will of the people must be respected.
Service that embattled Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was set to meet in public with his boss, President William Ruto, before the head of state backed down in the 11th hour. However, that did not deter his deputy from attending the service, his first since the National Assembly voted to impeach him. The second in command did not steer clear of the matter at hand, questioning why he would be tamed by a few individuals. Yet he, alongside President William Ruto, were voted into office by millions of Kenyans.
Sisi tulichaguliwa na watu wengi hawa ya Embu, si ndio? Sijui kama tawezekana tulichaguliwa na hii watu yote tufukuzwe na watu wachache. Hiyo ni haki kweli watu ya Embu? Na ndio mimi namshukuru huyu mjumbe wenu Getonga Mukunji, alipiga kura. Alisikiza watu wa Embu vile wanase. Hata huyu Dabwen alikuwa ameandika barua, akakuja Embu, akasikiza waetu, akapinduka. Akafuata vile wananchi wanafanya nini?
With the ongoing debate, what next for the DP and whether he should resign, amid questions of whether he stands a chance at the courts, the former Madira lawmaker expressed confidence in the country's judicial system.
Lakini sisi tuna imani kubwa sana na mahakama zetu. Our judiciary is very professional, and I have no doubt in my mind that our eminent judges will protect and uphold the Constitution, the rule of law. So watu wa Kenya wako na imani sana, and they have faith that our courts of law will protect and uphold our Constitution, and most importantly, always protect the will of the people, because the people are supreme.
With hearings set for Wednesday and Thursday this week, a program drawn by the Senate clerk indicates that the DP will have 4 hours on Thursday morning to present his evidence against his impeachment, and another session in the afternoon for cross-examination. With the head of state being blamed for Gachagua's tribulations by residents of Mount Kenya region, most of them expressing their displeasure and slamming the head of state over what they termed as betrayal, Gachagua called for calm even as he insisted that the will of the people must be respected.
Irrespective ya ile tatokea, nataka kuuliza amani katika hii Embu, katika Mlima Kenya, katika Kenya nzima. Sisi tuko na nchi ya Kenya, hatuna nchi nyingine. Na hii nchi ni yetu. Kwa hivyo watu wa Embu mlichagua mimi na President William Ruto, mkatupatia kura zenu zote. Tungeuliza uamuzi wa raia uheshimike.
Eyes now turn to the Senate, with the National Assembly set to present their case against the Deputy President. Gachagua will be looking to his legal team led by Senior Counsel Paul Muite to absolve him from any blame, with the lawyers said to have lined up a number of witnesses to the DP's defense. The Senate hearings come at a time when those allied to the head of state maintain that the DP should be termed through impeachment, with Gachagua's allies rubbishing claims leveled against him, terming them politically motivated. Question is, just who will have the last laugh? Ian Keitani, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Still on the same breath, going by the events of the past week, it is evident the president and his deputy are not seeing eye to eye. President William Ruto has not spoken about Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment at the National Assembly, his silence giving more answers than questions. Many see the impeachment as a climax of a strained relationship that draws its causes to the president's selection of Gachagua as his deputy. Our political reporter Kimani Ngunjiri attempts to dig up the root cause and illuminate the signs that may have escaped even the keenest of eyes.
is clearly what has been in the Deputy President's mind lately. Now, Rigathi Gachagua's political fate hangs on a precipice. It was not always like this. Once upon a time, the two leaders showed friendship as the dynamic duo ascended into power 2 years ago. However, the signs were there, sometimes muted, and in rare occasions open. And it could all have started before the 2022 polls.
The Kenya Kwanza running mate candidate, my brother and friend, Rigathi Gachagua.
Political commentators argue that the events surrounding the settlement of Gachagua as a running mate to Ruto in the run-up to 2022 vote may have been the beginning of what has now become a ticking time bomb in their relationship.
Pahali tulifika tukawa na stalemate, tuliambia president yeye mwenyewe aamue kutoka kwa hawa wawili.
He didn't allow William the full control of what he wanted. He forced himself. He actually, I think, was a little forceful in being the deputy.
William Ruto had the liberty. He should have gone for Musalia, he should have gone for Kindiki, he should have gone for anybody, even Moses Wetangula.
Gachagua asserts that he delivered the Mount Kenya votes to Kenya Kwanza, and the second in command has been on a mission to unite the mountain behind him. His ambitions must have ruffled some feathers.
Kutoka zamani, mulima ikiitana tugane na tuongee kwa sauti moja, ilikuwa na bado iko inaleta shivers mingi. Sijui ni kwa nini kama ni venye sisi ni wengi.
The thought that Gachagua is trying to form a political base that in the mind of William belonged to him, and William wants to run again 2027, it's not even like Uhuru, who was already on his second term. Certainly, you are going to be treated very harshly.
This is a true arrangement of come we stay. you know, there's no certificate, nothing that binds you.
The wedge between the two has been growing gradually, with some experts citing Gachagua's perceived opposition to government policies and positions. One glaring example is Gachagua's pronouncement and support of a resource allocation formula that considers population over land factor, an opinion that seemed to contradict his boss, who had already opposed the formula as had been proposed in the Building Bridges initiative.
The more taxes you pay, when it comes to sharing, you share more.
One man, one vote, one shilling. Ni kama haikuenda vizuri na viongozi wengi.
He's saying that you get a shilling, I get a shilling. If there are two to share, you get two, I get two. What is wrong with that?
To add salt to the injury, he went ahead to accuse the National Intelligence Service as having not advised the president adequately enough to help the government avert the protests.
The country is on its own. My boss, President William Ruto, is exposed.
Political pundits claim that this televised lecture to the NIS may have been the proverbial last nail on the coffin for Gachagua.
Probably should have used somebody else. He should not have done it directly. Because, again, they are joined at the hip.
In addition to the differences with his boss, analysts say that Gachagua has been having strained relations with the majority of elected leaders, something attributed to his alleged abrasiveness.
It has something to do with his way of managing things. I think, and it's something that we all have to learn. When you get into power, it is time to ensure that you have better relationship with those who are your subjects.
President Ruto has in the past given an indication of considering a female deputy, and the president's silence in the ongoing politics could be speaking volumes, especially in the wake of his pre-election promise that he could not allow his deputy to be mistreated.
So this disagreement is not one that you can say it happened. It is because whoever it was going to be was still going to be sacrificed.
Even as Senate now awaits to decide on Gachagua's impeachment, analysts conclude that the political events so far could most likely mean that Gachagua's goose is cooked. Kimani Ngunjuri reporting for K24, Nairobi.
Away from that, Azimio leader Raila Odinga is now defending the Adani Group, terming the company as reputable. Odinga says that the misinformation on Adani could potentially scare away investors. And as Martin Ope reports, Odinga says the crucial turnaround for public-private partnership is to ensure transparency in the process that will reflect public interest.
Around the country over Adani and their growing investments, Azimio leader Raila Odinga has broken in silence over the matter.
The field of infrastructure.
On Sunday, after the ODM delegates meeting, Odinga threw his weight behind the Indian company, which he termed as reputable and has interacted with them on basis of good standing and the quality of delivery done by the company across India and the world.
This is a reputable company, in my knowledge. This company actually has done very many PPP projects. I mentioned that we visited India, the invitation of then Chief Minister of State of Gujarat, Narendra Modi, and he introduced us to several Indian conglomerates. Adani was one of them, and was Mr. Ratan Tata, who was also there at the conference that we attended. And then we visited a project that was done through a PPP by Adani in a place called Mundra. This was a marsh land next to the sea, 5,000 hectares of land, which was granted to the Adanis by the government of Mr. Modi. They drained the swamp and constructed a deep-sea port.
According to the former premier, the misinformation about the Indian company and any other international investment company could seclude the country and scare away investors who in turn could opt to invest in the neighboring countries who equally require investors. He fears that the country is currently undergoing serious financial gap that can only be filled through investments.
Given the current financial status of the country, PPP is the only way out of cash incentive projects for these projects. If we plant doubts in our capacity to handle the PPPs, we must be prepared for a prolonged period of development drought and risk being overtaken by our neighbors.
The Adani Group have taken over the country by storm and have expressed interest in upgrading of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, have been mentioned under the health sector with the rollout of SHIF, and on Friday, the government announced that the country has signed a deal between K24 and Adani.
Ongoing energy and airport projects therefore present a critical test that could make or break our ability to compete in the field of infrastructure development for a considerable period. I urge all agencies concerned to address all the concerns raised by Kenyans on these projects and ensure that we do not spook foreign capital away from the Kenyan economy.
As per the former premier, Adani expressed interest in the country over a decade ago, but the absence of a legal framework hindered further involvement. Odinga reveals that laws governing public-private partnership were based on those of India, but maintained that a lot need to be done to attract investor confidence.
Likely to try to condemn very reputable companies. As we see stories like Adani Gate. Adani's company conglomerate is worth over $200 billion. It cannot be an Adani Gate. Deal with issues as they are. If some people have made mistakes, let them own up that they made some mistakes. But do not begin to condemn innocent companies who are basically doing a normal commercial transaction.
While acknowledging the need for investor profits, Odinga emphasized the importance of safeguarding national interests such as labor laws, environmental protection and Kenyan courts' jurisdiction in disputes. Raila also urged all stakeholders to avoid politicizing the issue and instead focus on keeping Kenya competitive
in attracting foreign capital to fund its infrastructure needs. The Adani Group, an Indian conglomerate, has proposed investing approximately $1.84 billion to expand and modernize Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA. The proposal, submitted under the Public-Private Partnership PPP model, seeks to allow Adani to improve airport facilities, such as the construction of a new terminal, taxiways, and related infrastructure. Odinga's comments are coming at a time that the courts ruled on matters privatization, especially touching on KICC, where it was termed as a national monument. In a case filed by Odinga's ODM party, at a time the party was not enjoying collaboration with Kenya Kwanza government.
There is no way one generation of greedy leaders can decide to sell national assets without reference to the people. Kama mnataka kuuza hii vitu, muulize hawa wananchi.
Odinga himself has been against privatization of the country's institutions. Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Well, at this juncture, we take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be focusing on what is on our dailies this morning. Even Lao Lang is already in studio. She is an economist and a political analyst. Also, we'll be joined by Arnold Maliba, Head of Policy and Public Affairs, the ruling party UDA, and the former Chief Administrative Secretary, Zach Kinuthia. Keep the conversation going. Our media platforms are K24 TV at Joel Chacha, as well as SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Mr. DJ Blackie. Anguka now.
When it comes to playing the best music videos, we've got you covered.
K24 TV Mix Master.
When it comes to a lineup of all the fresh DJs, we've got that too. Yeah! Check this out. Caribbean,
From the t-shirt
Afrobeat, our famous and infamous Kenyan jam.
By the way, let me tell you mine.
And all the hits from across the globe.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
This is the Beat Box. Monday to Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on K24.
Step into a world of emotions, relationships.
Kumbe mama, ulikuwa unafikiria kuolewa tena? Yaani unijaleta kidogo, wewe ni mbaya.
Dilemmas and complexities of life.
Mwanamke hamhitaji mwanaume ili aweze kuwa na furaha.
Love.
Vedika, kiukweli mimi nakupenda sana wewe.
Betrayal.
Mimi nilikupa kila kitu ambacho wewe ulikuwa unakihitaji. Lakini leo umeamua kunidanganya na kuusaliti uaminifu wangu.
And secrets.
Tafadhali usimwambie Sahil kuhusu hili.
Get ready for an emotional roller coaster ride filled with drama.
Sahil wangu yuko wapi? Nataka uniambie Sahil yuko wapi? Siyafanya chochote kile Sahil jamani.
Passion. And unforgettable moments. Don't miss Aapke Ajanase every Tuesdays to Fridays on your favorite TV station, K24.
Bad breakfast experiences?
I get it. Morning Vibe is here to switch it up. An experiential and interactive show to set your vibe just about right. I mean, vibes don't lie. Join me, Rami Majala, every Monday to Thursday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on K24 TV.